Yo, what's up? Alright, so today I'm gonna keep reading the book. So, from page 40. Let's see. Alright, George shuffled the cards noisily and dealt them. Wit drew a scoring board to him and set the pegs to start. Wit said, I guess you guys really come here to work. Wait. It's a bit cold right here. How do you mean? George asked. Wit laughed. Well, you come on Friday. You got 2 days to work till Sunday. I don't see how you figure, said George. Wit laughed again. You do if you've been around these big ranches much. Guy that wants to look over a ranch comes in Saturday afternoon. He gets Saturday night supper at 3 meals on Sunday, and he can quit Monday morning after breakfast without turning his hand. But you come to work Friday noon. You got to put in a day and a half, no matter how you figure. George looked at him levelly. We're gonna stick around a while, he said. Me and Lenny's gonna roll up a steak. The door opened quietly and Steinbeck put in his hand. A lean negro head, lined with pain, the eyes patient. Mr. Slim. Slim took his eyes from old Candy. Huh. Oh, hello, Crooks. What's the matter? You told me to warm up tar for the most food. I got it warm. Oh, sure, Crooks. I'll come right out and put it on. I can do it if you want, Mr. Slim. No, I'll come to do it myself. He stood up. Crooks said, Mr. Slim, yeah? That big new guy's messing around your pups out in the barn. Well, he ain't doing no harm. I give him one of the pups. Just start and tell you, said Crooks. He's talking out of the nest and handling them. That won't do them no good. He won't hurt 'em, said Slim. I'll come along with you now. George looked up. If that crazy bastard fooling around too much, just kick him out, Slim. Slim followed Steinbeck out of the room. George dealt and Wit picked up his cards and examined them. Seen the new kids yet? He asked. What kid? George asked. Why? Curly's now wife. Yeah, I seen her. Well, ain't she a Lulu? I ain't seen that much of her, said George. Wit lay down his cards impressively. Well, stick around and keep your eyes open. You see plenty. She ain't concealing nothing. I never seen nobody like her. She got the eye going all the time on everybody. I bet she even gives the Steinbeck on the eye. I don't know what the hell is she wants. George asked casually, be in any trouble since she got here? It was obvious that Wit was not interested in his cards. He laid his hand down and George scooped it in. George laid out his deliberate solitaire hand. 7 cards and 6 on top and 5 on top of those. Wit said, I see what you mean. No, they ain't been nothing yet. Curly's got yellow jackets in his drawers, but that's all so far. Every time the guys is around, she shows up. She's looking for Curly, or she thought she left something laying around and she's looking for it. Seems like she can't keep away from guys. Curly's pants it's just crawling with ants. but there ain't nothing come of it yet. George said. She's gonna make a mess. They're gonna be a bad mess about her. She's a jailbait, all set on the tracker. That Curly got his work cut out for them. Ranch with a bunch of guys on it ain't no place for a girl, especially like her. Wood said, if you got ideas, you ought to come in town with us tomorrow night. Why? What's doing? Just the usual things. The usual thing. We go into old Sussie's place. Hell of a nice place. Old Sussie's a laugh. Always cracking jokes. Like she says when we come up on the front porch last Saturday night. Susie opens the door and then she yells over her shoulder. Get your coats on, girls. Here comes the sheriff. She never talks sturdy, neither. Got 5 girls there. What's it set you back? George asked. 2.5. You can get a shot for 2 bits. Susie got nice chairs to sit in too. If a guy don't want to float, why he can just sit in the chairs and have a couple or 3 shots and pass the time of day. And Susie don't give a damn. She ain't rushing guys through and kicking out if they don't want to float. Might go in and look the joint over, said George. Sure, come along. It is a hell of a lot of fun. Her cracking jokes all the time. Like she says one time she says, I've knew people that if they got a rag rock on the floor and a Cupid doll lamp on a phonograph, they think they're running a parlor house. This is Clara's house and she's talking about. And Susie says, I know what you boys want. She says, my girl is clean, she says. And there ain't no water in my whiskey. She says, if any you guys wanna look at a Cupid doll lamp and take your own chance getting burned, why you know where to go. And she says, there's a guy around here walking bow-legged because they like to look at a Cupid doll lamp. George asked, Clara runs the other house, huh? Yeah, and we don't never go there. Clara gets $3 and crack and 35 cents a shot, and she don't crack no jokes. But Susie's place is clean and she got nice chairs. Don't like no goo-goos in neither. Me and Lenny rolling up a steak, said George. I might go on and sit and have a shot, but I ain't putting out on 2.5. Well, a guy got to have some fun sometime. And said Wit. The door opened and Lenny and Carson came in together. Lenny crept to his bunk and sat down, trying not to attract attention. Carson reached under his bunk and brought out his bag. He didn't look at old Candy, who still faced the wall. Carson found a little cleaning rod in the bag and a can of oil. He said he laid them on his bed and then brought out the pistol, took out the magazine, and snapped the loaded shell from the chamber. Then he fell to cleaning the barrel with the little rod. And when the ejector snapped, Kenny turned over and looked for a moment at the gun before he turned back to the wall again. Carson says casually, Curly being dead. No, said Whit. What's eating him, Curly? Carson squinted down the barrel of his gun, looking for his old lady. I see him going running around outside. Whit said sarcastically. He spends his time looking for her, and the rest of the time she's looking for him. Curly burst into the room excitedly. Any you guys see my wife? He demanded. She ain't been here. She ain't been here, said Whit. Curly looked threateningly about the room. Where the hell is Slim? Went out in the barn, said George. He was gonna put some tar on a split hoof. Curly's shoulders dropped and squared. How long how long ago did he go? 5-10 minutes. Curly jumped out the door and bounded after him. Whit stood up. I guess maybe I'd like to see this. He said Curly's just spoiling and he wouldn't start for Slim. And Curly's handy. Goddamn handy. Got in the final for the Golden Gloves. He got newspaper clipping about it. He considered. But just the same, he'd better leave Slim alone. Nobody don't know what Slim can do. Thinks Slim's with his wife, don't he? Said George. Looks like it, Whit said. Course Slim man. Least, I don't think Slim is, but I like to see the fuse of it comes off. Or fuzz. Come on, let's go. George said. I'm staying right here. I don't want to get mixed up in nothing. Lenny and me got to make a steak. Carson finished the cleaning of the gun and put it in the bag and pushed the bag under his bunk. I guess I'll go out and look her over, he said. Old Candy lay still. And Lenny, from his bunk, watched George cautiously. When Whit and Carson were gone and the door closed after them, George turned to Lenny. What you got on your mind? I ain't done nothing. George, Slim says I better not pet them pups so much for a while. Slim says it ain't good for them, so I come right in. I been good, George. I could have told you that, said George. Well, I wasn't hurting none. I just had mine in my lap patting it. George asked, did you see Slim out in the barn? Sure I did. He told me I better not pet the pup no more. Did you see that girl? You mean Curly's girl? Yeah. Did she come in the barn? No, anyways, I never seen her. You never seen Slim talking to her? She ain't been in the barn. Okay, said George. I guess them guys ain't gonna see no fight. If there's any fighting, Lenny, you keep out of it. I don't want no fights, said Lenny. He got up from his bunk and sat down at the table, across from George. Almost automatically, George shuffled his cards, and laid out his solitaire hand. He used the deliberate, thoughtful slowness. Lenny reached for a face card and studied it. Then he turned it upside down and studied it. Both ends the same. He said, George, why is it both and the same? I don't know, said George. That's just the way they make them. What was Slim doing in the barn when you seen him? Slim? Sure, you seen him in the barn. And he told you not to pet the pup so much. Oh yeah, he had a tar and paint brush. I don't know what for. You sure that girl didn't come in like she come in here today? No, she never come. George sighed. You give me a good warehouse every time, he said. A guy can do in and get drunk and get everything out of his system all at once, and no mess. And he knows how much he's gonna set him back. This here jail base is just set on the trigger of his Husko. Lenny followed his words admiringly and moved his lips a little to keep up. George continued, you remember any Cushman? Lenny went to a grammar school, the one that his old lady used to make hot cakes for the kids. Lenny asked, "Yeah, that's the one. Can you remember anything if there's anything to eat in it?" George looked carefully at the solitaire and he put an ace up on his scoring rack and piled a 2, 3, and 4 diamonds on it. Andy's in San Quentin right now on account of the tart, said George. Lenny drummed on the table with his fingers. George? Huh? George, not how is it gonna be till we get the little place and live on a fat of the land and rabbits? I don't know, said George. We gotta get a big steak together. I know a little space place we can get cheap, but they ain't giving it away. Old Candy turned slowly over. His eyes were wide open. He watched George carefully. Then he said, "Tell about the place, George. I just told you just last night. Go on, tell it again, George." "Well, it's 10 acres," said George. "Got a little whip mill, got a little shack on it, and a chicken run. Got a kitchen, orchard, cherries, apples, peaches, cots, nuts. Got a few berries. There's a place for alfalfa and plenty of water to float it. There's a pig pen, and rabbits, George. No place for rabbits now, but I could easy build a few hutches and you could feed alfalfa to the rabbits." "Damn right I could," said Lenny. "You goddamn right I could." Alright, well, that's for today, and I'm gonna continue reading from the page 47. George's hand stopped working with the cards. Alright, so if you liked the video, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. I'm getting so tired today.